She didn't have to know you in order to get a really big hello or hola, depended on what language you spoke. And if she knew you spoke Spanish, she would start a little conversation with you. It was really cute. As for family, this may be news for you guys, spoiler, but I found it very sweet that she would call everyone her favorite uncle, favorite aunt, favorite cousin. I know some of you guys would fight on that. Look, I know Uncle Paul. I know. But, when that would happen, it's not because she had favorites, but it's because she wanted to make sure that each family member knew that they were the best versions of themselves for her, and that she wanted to make sure that you guys knew that you guys were Nikki's everything. Nikki was such a social butterfly that she made sure to be where the people were, and if she wasn't, you can bet that she was determined to find a way. If you were around her within the last 6 years, you were probably greeted with one of the following phrases. So, how's your mom? Do you like to play Uno? Hey, you mad, bro? And my personal favorite, what type of appetizers are we gonna have? I think Mary Kay may know that one, the last one, a little too well. She always made sure to ensure that Nikki had a selection of appetizers to get Nikki's approval. In regards to the first one though, when Nikki and I would be waiting for something to go on, whether it be for our acupuncture appointments or for us waiting for someone else to take a turn at the table for Uno, or I would try and break the silence in any other awkward situation by asking Nikki, so how's your mom? And without skipping a beat, Nikki would lean in real close and she'd say, Brito, she's your mom too. You should know. She's sitting right next to you. Why don't you ask her? And I'd kind of smile and I'd say, yeah, you're right, she is my mom, but I haven't seen her all day. What does she do nowadays? And obviously that struck a conversation, and we'd have a full-on, talk about what mom has been up to, even if she was within arm's reach. Our cousin Bradford, who lives in Colorado, and his wife Alex, remember when Nikki was really little, that she was always so strong and resilient. I mean, he said, I remember how fearless she was growing up, how brave and competitive she was. Anything we did with cousins, she was always right in the middle of our games, running around as fast as she could in kickball, because we had enough people for 2 teams as cousins, or finding the best spots for hide and go seek in the dark at Lola and Papa's. She continued to be competitive and a fighter as she grew up, and what I remember most is how caring and loyal she was when it came to family. She never gave up her whole life. She never gave up. His brother Stone also had a fond memory that I'm sure not every Lardner clan, and not everyone in the Lardner clan has had the honor of hearing, but here it goes, and I entitled this one, Mary Kay and the Chandeliers. So you see, there's this one time in life when Nikki and Stone were old enough to go ahead and start cleaning Papa and Mary Kay's house, because there's a lot of nooks and crannies and like little crevices that there's a lot of dust that settles. And so Mary Kay had told Stone and Nikki what she needed cleaning and where everything was at. And so she starts heading out the door, and so Nikki and Stone kind of look around and they wait maybe about 3 minutes, because they know they need a little bit of time, right? So they wait. Finally they decide, all right, let's go to get this started. So they, in the windows, how they have like the crossbars and you can pull those out, so it's just a clean pane. Well, they had all of those off, but they needed to put them somewhere. Where else to put them but to hang them on a chandelier? They start hanging those things on chandeliers. Wow, Stone decides to go in and pop on his favorite hit. It's from, who was it? Montgomery Gentry. Hell yeah. That thing is blaring through this immaculate, beautiful house. I don't know if any else has ever walked through that house, but it is a beautiful sight. And they're jamming out to Hell Yeah, cleaning up a storm. All of a sudden, Nikki and Stone look up in the kitchen. Well, there's Mary Kay. I think the amount of shock on Stone and Nikki's face was about the amount that they could have for forgiveness, and I am so sorry. So she just stood there and smiled and said, I forgot my purse. You guys have a good day. She goes walking back out. themselves, but not do very much more work after that. They were so embarrassed and worried that their parents were going to hear that story and probably not live for the next day. So, another story of Nikki's antics, how we had to keep up on her. And if I haven't said it before, I want you guys to know that she's my baby doll. We've played that ever since we were little, or should I say I have played that ever since we were little. She didn't always quite like that term, but Mom and Dad would say that I might have been the ringleader for a lot of our long-standing antics. Nikki wasn't always the fan, but I collared that when we were younger, so I stopped. But after her accident, she didn't mind so much because she got her hair curled and put on all of her fancy glittery stuff to have some fun with. Seeing Nikki and I today in our dresses, our makeup done, and our hair full of our natural God-given curl, please know that although we have come to embrace our outer beauty and more girlish tendencies, we didn't always have that mindset. If you knew us back in the day, and had you hung out with us between the ages of 8 to 16, you could have been in our club. You see, we were the I'm more tomboy than you club. And I'll elaborate. We used to wear basketball shorts, our hair was straight, slicked back, and the fastest sneakers we owned. We would come up with competitions, scenarios, and phrases to see who was more tomboy than the other. Nikki and I would race up the side of this giant dirt pile at our house in Belen while it was being built, and we called it Mount Crumpet, after the mountain on the Grinch, because that was a popular movie back then. And I'd tell her, the first one to the top is more tomboy. And you should have seen that girl run. She tried to book it, she ran her heart out, but since her legs were a little smaller than mine, more times than not, I made it to the top first. But every now and again, I pretend to stumble on a dirt clod, just so that way she could claim victory and know that she still had a membership in our group club. But keep in mind, there were only 2 members, so we didn't have like a national rankings. Once we got out of that phase, and probably for the best, Nikki developed a big passion for fashion and glamming up herself. In her letter of life that I passed along to French's, where they posted it online, I mentioned that her change of hairstyles often was something that did come to fruition, because my mom reminded me of a story where whenever she was a firefighter, there was a collision in Belen and that the news was already covering it. She told my mom that in the process of aiding some victims, there would be some video shots of the scene. So Nikki told my mom to go and watch the night's news. And she said, I might be on it. Oh, and just so you know, I'm the blonde one. I dyed my hair yesterday. So, needless to say, that wasn't the first or the last time. I'm sure through a number of the photos in the reel there, you guys could see where it was either almost like a pitch black, she went platinum blonde, she was every shade in between, and she probably dyed her hair enough for me not to have to do that, because she did it so often. But she loved it, she loved the different styles. Her life was set for caring for others, and in being a firefighter, her focus on being there in the time of need always came at just the right time. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with that process of when a firefighter goes into fires, but the person that always goes in first always has the second. The chief relayed a story to my mom a few years back and said that whenever Nikki was on the group with him on that truck or on that call, she was always his second. Now that's saying something about firefighters and their ways. Very trusted, very loyal. And for Nikki, for being about 5'2" and 110 pounds, carrying all of that firefighter gear and stuff, for being the chief's second, I think that speaks volumes about that girl. Now here's a question for the audience. Have you ever thought about how good an employee God would have been to Amazon warehouse or maybe Walmart checkout line? I don't know how often it crosses your mind, but for me it's time to time. I mean, think about it. In order for those boxes to be sent out to their desired location, or for you to leave the store with all your items you came in with, and how they need to be packaged and fit into your cart in just the right way, you need to be a good packager. Someone who meticulously places everything right where it needs to be. I'm sure each piece has a particular way it needs to be and placed, like a good game of Tetris, and knowing that he is purposeful And there's a reason for everything. I often wonder, did God ever have a hard time packaging all of Nikki's big personality, loving heart, helping hands, eager feet, and infectious smile into Nikki? Because that's a lot to fit into a small body, especially the Lardner family. I mean, come on, let's be real. We've got like a really big skew here on the bell curve. Nikki was like the outlier on our stats here. So although she was one of the smallest, it's no surprise that she left such a big impression. Speaking of big impressions, when it came to parties, and they came to a close, and it was time for everyone to start saying their goodbyes, and at a Lardner function, it would take about an hour for everybody to start standing up and saying goodbye to everybody and tell everybody the same thing 30 times, let them know why they were leaving early, but really they were trying to leave on time. It took a while, but Nikki would say her goodbyes with everybody, and in her loudest way, she would tell everyone, I love you, as loud and as long as she could, every time. It didn't matter how many people were in the room, she said it to every single person. So, in true Nikki fashion, I'd ask that you all join me in saying I love you to our beautiful angel. A little caveat here, Uncle Scott told me last night that whoever holds the longest I love you would get a $50 gift card to Starbucks. And just so you know, Uncle Scott, I practiced all night. My competitive Nikki side is coming out, and she not only loved her gift cards, but she was always fashionable in making sure that she had those handy and ready. So, I don't know if that's true or not, so you guys might want to talk to him afterwards. But in true Nikki fashion, let's all say, we Lardner, so know that I'm always right here for you. Love you, Nikki. So that's all that I have. I don't think we have anybody else coming up to speak, but we just ask that you guys take this time to just reflect. We'll go ahead and put the songs and the pictures back on, because I see a few new faces in the back there, to go ahead and reel through that. And I think around 6:30 is whenever we'll go ahead and do the rosary. So I think we have some time in between then. But I truly want to thank all of you guys for coming. It's definitely something that my family and I could not have done without the support of every single person that's here, whether it was just prayers or if it was you guys coming over to hang out with Nikki and play some Uno and bring her a shake, or just offer words of encouragement. I know it's such a financial burden that taking on as far as everything going on with Nikki for the past 6 years. So there's some of you that have really helped out along the way that I don't think we could have gotten to the point with Nikki that we did up until today. So I want to give you guys, everybody, a genuine thank you, because it, like it always says, it takes a village to raise someone, and God knows we needed a lot for her. she was a sweetheart, but I truly want to thank each and every one of you guys. You're all like family, so thank you for being here.